Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, or at least some spoilery moments that are in the movie, considering the future of the MCU and where we could go next. Because there are some big things that dropped in this movie, specifically at the end credit scenes that I really do want to talk about. If you want to see my non-spoiler review, you can check that out. I posted it up on Friday morning. If you have seen the movie, then this is the video for you. If you haven't and don't want to be spoiled, get out now, go see the movie, and then come back after so you can join in on the conversation if a conversation happens in the comment section. So let's get started. Let's talk about some of these cameos and appearances from characters and those rings as well, because I think they will play very important big parts in the MCU moving forward. So let's start with the big cameo that we all know about. That we got to see a scene where Shang-Chi is going to look for his sister at this club, this fight club type of place. And we see the Abomination and Wong. And I was surprised to see this scene very early in the movie because I was figuring this would come sometime later on, and it didn't. And I thought it was really cool seeing the Abomination again because the last time we saw him was back in 2008 in the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. And that movie has kind of been a little shunned in recent years, maybe. Although in recent years, we've been starting to see it get embraced by the MCU because they did bring back William Hurt, who was General Ross and now has become Secretary of Defense Ross. So he clearly gotten an upgrade since then. And in the recent What If episode, they actually explored that time frame, but in a what if scenario. So the Incredible Hulk has been getting a little bit more remembered in recent years, thankfully, and I consider it one of the more underrated MCU films. I think it gets, I think people at that time didn't go and see it because of the Eric Bana Hulk film, which is not in continuity. And the Edward Norton film, I think, is so much more better than the Eric Bana one. The Eric Bana one, I even rarely go back and watch because, yeah, number one, it has nothing to do with the MCU, and number two, it's a boring film. The Edward Norton one is better. And so getting to see the Abomination again was a really nice surprise, especially when we saw him in that first trailer and now get to see him fully. Apparently, Tim Roth did do the voice of the character in this movie, although he didn't have no lines. He just had a lot of grunts because he got his ass kicked by Wong. What was interesting about this scene, though, was after the fight was over, Wong tells him, I told you you should have practiced more on something. I forgot what he said exactly. And I thought that was interesting. That means Wong was training the Abomination. And if so, did he know that the Abomination was an enemy of one of his fellow Avengers? Because we know that Wong is still in communication with the Avengers because, as we see at the end credits, which I'll get to, he's still communicating with them. So I thought it was interesting that he's training the Abomination to fight. Now, maybe something at the end credit scenes could make us think that Shang-Chi maybe doesn't take place in a certain time frame, and maybe this takes place after She-Hulk. And She-Hulk we haven't gotten yet, but we do know it's coming, and we do know that the Abomination will be appearing, played by Tim Roth again, in the She-Hulk series. So I do wonder if this movie takes place after the She-Hulk series, and maybe the Abomination is getting reformed or something. I don't know. And I have a theory why I think it takes place after She-Hulk, and I'll get to it right now maybe. So I think the Abomination could be turning over a new leaf maybe, because when Wong does open the portal to go somewhere with the Abomination, which I was surprised about, I did wonder, number one, where did they go? Did they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum? Someone said they noticed it looked like it could have been the raft, where we know Zemo is being kept, and maybe they're setting up the Thunderbolts. That's another interesting theory. I just think, what would be the purpose of Wong training Abomination, though? It just, Wong is clearly not working for the government, so or at least I doubt it. I doubt the mystic arts people, the wizards, would need to work with the government, but and I doubt William Hurt or Ross would get in touch with them anyways, or even know how to. I'm sure Doctor Strange and Wong know how to keep their secrets. So that's one thing that I was thinking about during the movie. Then we get to the post-credit scene where, before the post-credit scene, we see Wong at the very end of the movie telling Shang-Chi and Aquafina, I forgot her character's name, to come with him to the Sanctum Sanctorum because they need to talk about those rings. We get to the first post-credit scene, and we see that Wong is talking to them about the rings and looking at them and studying them. And we also see in that scene Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. What's very interesting about this scene that a lot of people are talking about, including myself, it was one of the first things I turned to my brother right after the movie and said, did you notice Bruce Banner was not in Hulk form? Because the last time we saw him, he was Professor Hulk. So why is he Bruce Banner now and not the way we saw him last? And that's where I think this movie will take place after the She-Hulk series. I think the She-Hulk series is going to explain that, because we do know that Mark Ruffalo is going to be in the She-Hulk series. So I think we're going to see how he goes from Professor Hulk to Bruce Banner again. I think he'll still have the ability to transform into the Hulk. I don't know to what extent. Like, will he still be able to be Professor Hulk? Or will he only be Bruce Banner? Who knows? Maybe he could give up the Hulk thing entirely and just be Bruce Banner here on forward after the She-Hulk series. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the She-Hulk series is now going to be doing with Bruce Banner. Or did he just figure out a way to revert back to Bruce? What would be the point? Because if you have strength and brains at the same time, why would you want to go back to just puny Banner, unless he was just missing his human form? That will be something interesting to explore. Carol Danvers, they also kind of hinted that there's something going on with her, because she keeps leaving early and getting interrupted by something. When she got her communication device was telling her something, she was like, I gotta go. So she leaves. She doesn't say what it is, but it did look like it was something up going on there. So I think that we'll find out in the Captain or the Marvels movie, the Captain Marvel sequel titled The Marvels, where we know that not Maria Hill, what's her name? Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel will be appearing in. And we know the Miss Marvel movie, or the series, sorry, is coming out. It was supposed to come out this year. I think they pushed it to early next year, early 2022. So how will that tie into things? I have no idea. I guess we know Miss Marvel will appear in the Marvels movie. So I think we will see a cameo from either Captain Marvel or Monica Rambeau in Miss Marvel, setting that up for the Marvels as well. But what is Captain Marvel going after? That obviously I have no idea. Something that was interesting said, though, in this scene with Bruce and Carol and Wong and Shang-Chi was that they were learning that inside the ring there is a homing beacon that was calling out to something. So I'm thinking this something is obviously out in space somewhere. We know they want to go more galactic going forward, and I think it will be interesting to see what it's calling. Do I have some theories? My first guess was Galactus, because we do know that a Fantastic Four movie is coming. I don't think they're going to use the first Fantastic Four movie to set up the Fantastic Four. I think we're going to see the Fantastic Four set up in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I think Peyton Reed, the director of the Ant-Man movies, has expressed interest in directing the Fantastic Four. But Obviously, we know John Watts, who is the director of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, and is going to be directing his final Spider-Man movie is coming up, Spider-Man No Way Home. He is already confirmed by Kevin Feige and Marvel to be the director of this new Fantastic Four movie that will be in the MCU. So I think Peyton Reed is going to get his wish to direct the Fantastic Four, but in an Ant-Man movie, and even show their origin, similar to how Spider-Man and Black Panther were first introduced in a Captain America movie. I think they're going to do it like that, where that way they can kind of get their origin in there, but don't have to heavily focus on it. And then that way you do a Fantastic Four movie already with them established as the Fantastic Four. And can you do a Silver Surfer movie within the Fantastic Four movie? That's a big possibility as well. I also think Spider-Man will be in the Fantastic Four movie, but that's a conversation for a whole nother time. So I think Galactus could be a part, and that's where we'll learn about his arrival. But there is another theory that I have that I've heard other people talk about as well that makes also a lot of sense. What if the homing beacon is calling out to the Celestials that we know will be touched on in the next Marvel movie coming up soon, the Eternals? It is possible because we know the Eternals are going to be dealing with the Deviants, who I guess will be the enemies there. But the Celestials, from my understanding, are the ones that left the Eternals on Earth thousands of years ago. And that one day they'll maybe possibly return, maybe even in that movie, but I don't think so. I do think the Celestials they'll bring back in another movie because of how gigantic they are. I think the Eternals are going to need some help fighting the Celestials. If the Celestials turn out to be villains, I have no idea. Now, I'm not comic book savvy. I don't know if Galactus is a Celestial or not. So if somebody wants to comment below and let me know, someone who's more comic book knowledge, comment below and let people know about that and let myself know about that. I'm curious about it. I could go read about it, but it's better when people just communicate with you and let you know up front. Okay, David, this is how it is. So, with that being said, look, those are my theories and speculations on what I think could happen going forward. Actually, there is one more thing I should touch on, the 10 rings. At the very end of the credits, after the first post-credit scene, we get another post-credit scene at the very end, which gives us an idea of the 10 rings. Now, of course, we see Shang-Chi's sister. She has taken control of her father's empire. I didn't think that was going to happen because she didn't show signs of being evil or anything. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean she will be evil, but I got the impression if you're taking over your father's empire, your father, who was an evil dictator almost, it feels like she might be turning over a new leaf and might be going to the dark side. So the question is, where do we see the 10 rings next? Because it didn't say Shang-Chi will return. It said the 10 rings will return. And that doesn't necessarily mean we have to see them in Shang-Chi 2. We could see them anywhere. Right now, I don't have a theory on where we could see them. But, I mean, there is the Hawkeye series. I would expect the 10 rings to show up in something a little bit more grounded because they don't seem to be really mystical enough to they feel like the League of Shadows. It feels like the only mystic quality there was about it was the rings themselves, but Shang-Chi has those, so I don't think they're going to do that. So yeah, I think if they do return in another show or movie, I think it will be something completely different. I also think the rings themselves don't. I think they are going. The reason why I thought of the Celestials is because I do think those rings, since they fit on someone's wrist, I do think they are big enough to fit on the finger of a Celestial. Because if you look at your own wrists, our wrists are pretty thick, especially compared to our fingers. And I think if you are going to make Celestials the creators of these 10 rings, it would make sense if we see them actually on a celestial's fingers the way they were supposed to be used. Just an interesting theory I thought about. So with that being said, those are my theories and speculations on what I think the MCU will be going to. Let me know in the comments section below your theories and speculations. I do want to plug in my Patreon page. These are the people that support this channel by donating either a $10 fee or a $5 fee, where they both offer the same things right now, where you will get a credit at the end of each video and a thank you by me. So thank you to these great people who support this channel and want to help me improve and grow and support me in that sense. And that's very, very thoughtful. Thank you guys. It's very much appreciated. With that being said, if you can't donate, I get it. We live in struggling times right now, but there are other ways to support the channel if you really want to help. By watching every video, by liking every video, because liking, when people see lots of likes, they say, oh, this guy must be good. So hopefully I'm doing a good job that will allow you to like the video. And even sending a link or two to people. Whenever I put up a video, send this link to people to let them know about the channel, and hopefully they check it out, because it's hard to get people to check things out, especially when you're a nobody. But hey, what can you do? You can only do the best that you can and hope that people will be interested in the content that you're creating. And I know I'm not the best content creator out there, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So that's all I can say right now. So with that being said, thank you once again to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And with that being said, until next time, everybody, take care.